North Old 27 in Grayling.
Warm up your wallet with Frosty the Dough Man at Saganing Eagles Landing Casino and Hotel. Join us for the Snowball Showdown every Friday in December from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Take your best shot at Frosty's 4 prize cutouts for a chance to win a share of over $19,000 in cash and premium play. Only at Saganing Eagles Landing Casino and Hotel. Real fun, real friendly. Visit saganing-eagleslanding.com for complete rules and details.
Jim's Collision in Roscommon thanks all their wonderful customers for their business this year. And if you should need them, they'll be there for you in the coming year. From the entire family at Jim's Collision, be safe in your travels and have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Phoenix Facilities Management is improving the golf games of building superintendents all over northern Michigan. As the leading building service contractor in the north, Phoenix Facilities Management is handling janitorial, building maintenance, and single source management with cost-effective and reliable solutions. Visit pfmmi.com or call 989-390-4647 for a walkthrough and estimate of services and get the time you need to get back on the golf course.
Sports fans, check out UpNorthSportsRadio.com for all your Detroit sports action. Get full schedules for the Wings, Pistons, Tigers, Lions, and U of M football. Catch Friday Faceoff live and hit the links with JC on episodes of Finding Fairways. Our high school sports guru, Rich Calkins, hosts the High School Scoreboard Show. And don't miss Traverse City West Titan football and boys basketball action. Catch games live or see past episodes on the podcast page. Real sports fans, go to UpNorthSportsRadio.com.
Good morning, Northern Michigan, and welcome to Friday Faceoff on Up North Sports Radio, brought to us by TVCAirport.com, Cherry Capital Airport, Jerry Coyne, and Rich Calkins live in studio. And Rich, all the hype surrounding the college football playoffs has been amazing. I don't understand why the NFL decided to drop 2 football games in on Saturday. But tonight, a very interesting football game, a playoff game at Notre Dame.
At Notre Dame, no doubt about it, JC. And it's for the Indiana State Championship between the Hoosiers of Indiana and Notre Dame. Of course, the first time we're having a 12-team playoff, so a lot of eyes are on this. And with with teams hosting now, so that's cool. Maybe a little snow in South Bend, possibly.
A little?
Yeah. Well,
it looks like a lot.
And that's what makes it so cool.
No doubt.
For years, the northern teams have been complaining about. Look, have some of these SEC schools or southern schools in general come and play in our backyard in the kind of elements that we have to play in. So I love it. I think it's really cool. A lot of eyes, like you said, have been on this. It's gotten a ton of hype. And it's going to be a lot of fun, I think, just for pure entertainment purposes.
I couldn't agree with you more. I'm very excited to see it. I'm kind of bummed I have to do produce the Grayling Vikings basketball game. So I probably won't see the second half. I mean, they're starting with a pregame show at 3:30.
Wow. That's a long pregame.
No, I hear you. I'm sure they're going to be interspersing a lot. This is the primary beneficiary of the NCAA football playoffs is ESPN.
Yeah, no question, yeah. And as we know, that's a self-promoting machine.
Oh,
and they just roll that thing on their ABC channel, you name it, they're promoting
but some of the games tomorrow are on TNT.
Yeah, I saw that too. I'm like, TNT's doing football now. They're doing hockey, they're doing all of this stuff. They've been.
There's a bigger marriage between ESPN and TNT now because they've decided that they're going to keep the NBA pregame, the Charles Barkley show,
which is the best.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a good call on that because initially they were going to kind of axe that and move on to something else. But why would you get rid of one of the best pregame shows and postgame shows around? That's pure entertainment by those guys with Charles Barkley and Shaq and Kenny the Jet Smith, and it's just that's interesting.
It's the gold standard.
It is must-watch TV for even if you don't watch the game, watch those guys.
Yeah,
it's funny.
There's no doubt about it. They are, I was watching yesterday, as a matter of fact, and 25 years
Kenny and Charles have been working with Ernie Johnson 25 years now.
Wow, that's as we know, that's a long time.
That's
for
a long time for
groups
us a
to
crew.
stick
I mean,
together.
yeah. Usually it's about 10 years before they bounce you out.
Right.
Ask Phil Sims.
Yep, Phil
Yeah.
knows all about it.
Yep, that's right.
Ask Boomer Esiason, ask him.
Goodbye. Thank you very much. Don't let the door hit you in the butt. But no, the college playoffs, it's just going to be special. I think it's really smart of them to start at Notre Dame.
Yeah, I
tonight.
do too.
With touchdown Jesus, snow on the Golden Dome.
Yeah.
I was watching Get Up yesterday morning, and I wanted to go online and give Mike Greenberg a rash of crap. He must have said an unprecedented amount of times over the length of the 2-hour show. I've never heard the word that much. It's unprecedented. Oh my God. Well, thank God for that. I mean, obviously, first year they've been doing a 12 team.
Yes.
So we're going to find some stuff out, and the cool part, like you mentioned, home games for Notre Dame and Penn State and Texas and Ohio State.
Yeah, which
at night.
That's a great Saturday night game. Has got certainly everybody. How is Ohio State? Are they going to bounce back from getting just psychologically destroyed by Michigan?
Yeah, there's the word on the street is that Tennessee fans have bought a lot of tickets to this playoff game.
Wow.
Now, I don't think they're going to outweigh the number of scarlet and gray in there.
For sure.
But Tennessee Tennessee hasn't been in the playoffs ever.
Yeah.
And this is one of the biggest, most vocal fan bases in the country. People forget about this.
Yeah.
I played in a golf tournament every year in Louisville, Kentucky, for 12 years, and there was like 5 or 6 guys that had Tennessee golf bags and wore all their burnt oranges.
Yeah.
This is after Manning had left and everything else. These guys. They thought it was their birthright for a long time,
Right.
like Ohio State does.
Yes.
So, there's that.
And Tennessee isn't all that far from Columbus,
No,
Ohio.
no, they're
That's
not.
an easy drive.
Yeah. So it is going to be fascinating, and a lot more than a few pundits have pointed out, like what's going to happen if Tennessee gets up early in this football game.
Exactly. Are there going to be boo birds out there? Because again, already the fans went nuts when a very average Michigan team went into Columbus and beat them.
Yeah.
And didn't throw for 100 yards, but somehow won the game.
Yeah.
I mean,
they threw for 64 yards, Rich.
ridiculous.
No, it wasn't 99 yards.
Yeah,
They threw for 64 yards. I'm sure this team is smarting. This is, without a doubt, a make-or-break game for Ryan Day.
Yes.
He loses his football game. He might as well just not even clear out the office.
Even though
he better move out of the state.
Just walk right out of the tunnel. Don't even talk to the team. Just walk onto your car and head out of Dodge, because it's they are absolutely would not. I think basically anything showing up short of playing in a national championship for Ryan Day may loom heavy, even though the AD has come out, of course, and gave him the proverbial vote of confidence. But, of course, what else is he going to say? He has to say that.
The proverbial swift kick in the ass.
Right. We've all seen how vote of confidences go. Usually that's the kiss of death.
Yeah, usually it is the kiss of death. So, let's do you like Indiana's chances, or do you think Notre Dame rolls?
I think Notre Dame rolls. I do. I think I watched every play of that Ball State game when they got beat at home against Ball State, and since that time
Do you mean Northern Illinois?
Notre
Dame lost to Northern Illinois.
That's okay.
It's okay. You always get that stuff right, but I know it was.
No, that's all right. No.
A team that ended I think it was an 8-4 Northern Illinois team.
So, but
they didn't even play in the MAC playoff.
Right. Their quarterback, Notre Dame's quarterback, has played well. They've got a good run game. They can throw it. They've got a tough defense. Yeah, I think Notre Dame wins this one. But I like what Cignetti is doing there at Indiana.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, he got paid too.
He sure did.
Yeah. And the winner of that team will play Georgia, who just found out that Beck is not going to play. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Carson Beck did not have a great season.
Not at all. Came in with a lot of accolades in the preseason, all of this. And, man, that's the absolute. When you see that in slow motion, what that absolute, the way he got rocked at that point in the arm when he was throwing, you can see why he's most likely not playing.
The Georgia team really misses Brock Bowers on the offense, and they don't have a premier running back either.
Right.
Which is they've had a ton of in recent years.
Yeah,
so,
and defensive players out the yin-yang that are NFL players.
There's 20 guys from Georgia starting in the league right now.
Yeah, half of them, if not three-quarters of them, are in the Philadelphia defense.
Hey, shut up. Don't say the word Philadelphia ever again. I'm really worried about the Philadelphia Eagles. Well, we'll talk about that in the next segment. Then we mentioned, so the first game out of the blocks tomorrow is Penn State. You know, I wonder how much thought went into this. Like, why didn't they give Penn State the whiteout game, a night whiteout game? I've heard, though, that tickets are, like, you can get tickets for this Penn State SMU game for like $25.
Seriously?
Yeah. Like, students are already going home for Christmas break and everything else.
You think about the normal college routines and schedules. Yeah, a lot.
So like the tickets for Notre Dame are like $1,000 on the street. $25 at Penn State. So I don't know.
Yeah.
They will play Boise State. The winner of that game. I don't know. The only reason why I don't pick Penn State to win this game is because James Franklin never wins a big game.
Big game James, you mean? He doesn't? No. What the heck? No,
so, I know. So that'll be an interesting game to watch. And then Boise State, Penn State and Boise State just running the football at each other for 60 minutes. Yeah. We mentioned then the 4:00 game is Texas-Clemson.
Yes, at Texas.
Yeah.
So that's, Clemson.
I would really like Clemson here, Rich, if Texas hadn't played in the playoffs last year. Okay. So about half the guys on this team and the coach played in the playoffs last year. Now, they lost, but they lost a nail-biter to Washington.
Yes, they
really
did.
Good football game.
Yeah, that was a good game.
Yeah. And Clemson has been in the playoffs 7 of the 10 times.
That's just crazy.
Yeah,
you think about that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Great coaching.
They better enjoy it because Bill Belichick is coming to their division.
That's good. Oh, it's going to throw a complete monkey wrench.
I'm so really surprised that we haven't heard a transfer portal signing from North Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would. Yeah, because I think it's coming for sure.
Yeah, I would say so too. They will play Arizona State. So. Yeah, Arizona State's an interesting football team. It's too bad. They had the best wide receiver in the country at Arizona State, got hurt 2 weeks before the end of the season, and that's when this bowling ball of a fullback has been, but that's. I'm interested to see Arizona State take on one of these two teams.
Right. Yeah, I like to see him run the ball. He's
a head coach of Arizona State is 34 years old. I have blue jeans older than that. I'm wearing it.
That's hilarious.
34 years old.
No.
And then, of course, the game that we talked about, whoever wins that game, and I really like Tennessee getting to 7.5 here. Big time.
Well, Tennessee's strength is that defensive line, and
running the football.
And running the football, and
so
where's Ohio
State? Michigan
in
orange coming
that's
in.
exactly right.
Yeah.
When Mason and Grant D tackles for Michigan, and Tennessee's got great D tackles, and so they saw what happened a few weeks ago.
Yeah, Josh Heupel is the head coach
Yes.
at Tennessee.
Yep.
This guy is a fantastic offensive coordinator.
He sure is.
So I know his quarterback is young and is prone to some mistakes, but he can run. He can throw it a little bit. They got a couple of great running backs. This is by far and away the premier game.
It is.
of the 4 games that we're going to see tonight and tomorrow night in the college football playoffs. And then they get the advantage of playing Oregon.
Hey, good news, bad news.
Good.
You
good
won
news,
the game. Good job.
Bad news.
You're going out to Oregon to take on the Ducks.
Yeah. I almost want to. It's like, so I popped this up on ESPN, and there's an interview with Ryan Day, and he looks like he's like the day before I go to be executed.
Yeah,
he looks like he's lost like 30 pounds and hasn't slept in a month, and it couldn't happen to a better guy.
A guy that was born on third base and thought he hit a triple.
Yeah. Speaking of that, how good? What a comeback by the Chargers last night.
Oh my gosh,
that was a really good football game.
It was a good game.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, because we've had so many stinkers on Thursday night, and you understand that short rest most of the time and all that. But man, no, last night
both teams played great. I mean, the Broncos came out, and you looked like holy cow,
world beaters. You're like, dang,
yeah.
Bo Nix.
They ran the football on the Chargers, which they hadn't done all year. You're like, oh, what has? Looks like Jimmy is kind of lost because the Chargers had lost 2 in a row.
They had to.
And then they turned on the Jets, and good to see Hassan Haskins.
That was great.
That was a great play.
It was. And that was the backbreaker right there.
Yeah, it was. It really was. And that's probably the best game I've ever seen Justin Herbert play too.
It was, yeah. He was very under control. He's
a big boy,
big kid, athletic, smart.
Yeah,
all of
ran
those.
Ran a couple
They
of
sure
times.
did. Yes.
That really, If the Chargers play like that,
right.
Nobody's going to want to play that team in the playoffs.
Oh, I know it because again, you've got Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa.
Buffalo?
Oh yeah, see there's some matchup nightmares there that you think automatically assume, oh no, that team's better, blah blah blah. But when you really break it down with matchups, you're like, that's going to be a lot more interesting than people think.
Yeah, and that's and kind of shame on the NFL for dropping these games in tomorrow and interrupting the flow of college football. I would love, it would never happen in a million years, but I would love to interview Roger Goodell.
Right.
Yeah. And if he would allow me to ask the questions I want to ask.
That you really want. Yeah. Well, because, again, they just can't stand to have anyone get any attention.
Yeah.
This time of year.
They're
it's like
oh,
what are you doing? No, we're going to stuff
you're there at the Christmas, like if you're the, I grew up with 3 brothers,
right?
And they're opening the Christmas presents. I want that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I grew up with 5 brothers, so I know all about that. That was like that at every dinner. It was like,
exactly.
I want that.
There's 6 pork chops.
That's right.
And there's 7 of us.
There was bloodshed. If you didn't come away with a bloody hand, you weren't doing work.
But on top of everything else, they put 2 really good football games in there.
Yeah.
It's not like throwaway Thursdays.
Yeah.
They've got the Texans are playing the Chiefs.
Yeah. Great matchup there. That pass rush.
We're going to really find out about the Kansas City offensive line in that game.
We will.
I would not play. I mean, I know this has been one of the big talking points.
It has been, yeah.
But I would play Wentz, especially since I got to play on Christmas Day.
Yeah, short turnaround for them.
I would not play. You got to protect the player from himself.
Yes, you do, and especially, I mean, he is.
God bless him.
He's got that mentality. No, I'm going out there. Everyone, our other guys are playing. I'm playing too. But he seems to tweak an ankle the last couple of years here and there. So there's kind of a reoccurring thing here. Yep. So there's some chronic stuff building up in there. So I agree. I think you should rest him on this one and
play him on Christmas Day.
Play him on Christmas Day.
Yeah. And the Ravens are playing the Steelers.
Oh, that's always a great matchup.
I cannot believe this is a 6.5-point game. I mean, I know this T.J. Watt's going to play in this game, But I mean, Lamar Jackson has been horrible versus this football team, and it's not a coincidence.
No, it is not. No, they have schemed themselves to know how to defend Lamar Jackson, and they do it better than anybody.
But George Pickens is half of this Steeler offense,
and
the offense does not operate without him.
It doesn't. It's putrid without him. I mean, he's their deep threat, their big play guy, and like you said, you've really noticed when he has been out.
Okay, we've got some messages from our fine partners here on Up North Sports Radio's Friday Faceoff. We'll be back right after that, brought to us by tvcairport.com. It's time for Destination.
Cherry Capital Airport is ringing in the holiday season with new year-round service to Charlotte, getting you to your winter destination with ease. TVC is your hometown airport with 6 airlines getting you to where you want to go. Now's the time to book your winter and spring break getaway. Visit tvcairport.com today.
Join the Traverse City Record Eagles 11th Annual TC Trim Down. It's a great way to get healthier, and you could win a share of $1,800 in valuable gift certificates. Male, female, and co-ed teams of 2 or 4 can register now through January 7th for just $10 a person, a portion of which goes back to local food pantries. Achieve a healthier you over the 10-week virtual competition and benefit for a lifetime. Register now through January 7th at tctrimdown.com.
The temperatures may be dropping, but Mahindra's holiday deals are coming in hot. Right now, get 0% for 84 months on the all-new 1100 series, 2100 series, and more. Plus, get up to $4,000 cash back on select models and no payments for 90 days on any purchase. Get yourself a gift that'll keep giving all year round.
Visit your Mahindra dealer at Zaremba Equipment in Gaylord or online at zarembaequipment.com or Pioneer Diesel in Traverse City or pioneerdiesel.com. Offer with approved credit. See dealer for details. Listen, do you hear that? That's the sound of wide open spaces at Shanty Creek Resort in Bel Air. The sound of laughter coming from the Alpine Tubing Park. The sound of splashing in the pool. The sound of shushing down Shush Mountain. Here we go outside to play. When it's time for you to enjoy the wide open spaces of northern Michigan, Shanty Creek will be there to welcome you with over 275 lodging options, 42 downhill ski and snowboard runs, and plenty of outdoor fun in Bel Air and online at shantycreek.com.
Hey, it's Anthony Bellino from Spin on Sports, Michigan's Sports Dog Morning Show on the Great Voice Radio Network. Heard live weekday mornings from 6 to 9 right here on Up North Sports Radio 101.1 WGRY. Whether it's Tigers, Pistons, Red Wings, Lions, Michigan, Michigan State, the Big Ten, the Mid-American Conference, all the headlines, all the stories, and always Michigan teams first. It's all right here on Spin on Sports, weekday mornings from 6 to 9 on the Great Voice Radio Network. Heard locally on Up North Sports Radio 101.1 WGRY.
It's time for Destination NFL. Jerry Coyne, Kevin Klein, contemplating the future of the Lions. Such doom and gloom over the injury report, Kev, but I like what Coach Campbell is saying.
I'm on board this train. I like it too, because the depth is pretty good. Yeah, we're going to fight back it's Chicago. So, this is going to tell a lot with what our depth is.
It's Chicago without Ditka.
Yeah, so, but, hey, if you want to get there, get on board today, 549.
549.
Not too bad for a last-minute
Well, you know
walk-up.
what? And you can go see the Lions, and you can do some of that Miracle Mile shopping.
Right before Christmas.
Yeah, I don't know if that's still a thing, but it used to be a thing for sure.
It's still there. I was in Chicago the first week of December, visiting with United. And we got to see some of that action that's still there. There's lots of great stores that are going
no doubt.
on. And I also had you and I like talk food, so Rosebuds on Rush, a little Italian there. It was very good.
If I'm going to Chicago, I'm going to a place, there's 2 of them. The original one is on the south side of 79th and Cicero. I still remember the address. That's Vito and Nick's.
There you go.
They created the super thin crust pizza. So it's like cracker thin crust, Kevin, and the sausage, their homemade Italian fennel sausage, is twice as thick as the crust itself. If you're a sausage lover, you got to have a pizza at Vito and Nick's.
Well, that, so what, maybe a little consolation prize and some food there, but some great stuff. So I'm still counting on the Super Bowl. So if you go in that week before, stay that Super Bowl week, it's 509. That went up about $50 from what we talked
That's
about.
Still not
last
bad.
night. Not bad at all.
But the closer you get to the weekend,
it'll go
price
up.
is way up. Yeah.
And so doing that week is great. San Francisco Last week we said it was over. It crested $700. It's down to $692.
Okay.
So let's keep watching that a little bit as we get closer through these holidays here. But I think it's really awesome. I mentioned I was in Chicago for that week with United.
Yeah.
So I got some news breaking here.
Oh.
Our Houston flight last year was on Saturday only for that 6 week.
Yeah.
It will be daily.
Wow.
It will be daily for those 6 weeks starting June 26th there through August 18th. Daily. That's a big increase in seats in the market.
No
it's
doubt.
Pretty awesome.
That's fantastic.
We're excited for that. And then United also said we're going to start Denver a little bit earlier. So normally it's Memorial Day. We'll back that up almost to the first week of May and then take it into that.
Is that a direct from?
That is nonstop.
Nonstop Traverse City to Denver?
To Denver. So we're extending that almost a month.
I can't tell my daughter. She'll want me to be there every other week.
All right. Well, some great things happening. And then on top of that, Avello is going to do a second day. So we'll see a Wednesday, Saturday pattern in New Haven. And then, drum roll, Atlanta for Delta has been loaded. It will be loaded on December 21st, doing a Saturday, Sunday pattern all through the summer. So that's an additional day. And they're loading it 3 months early.
Wow.
That is cool. So we're seeing a lot of great activity
Well, it just goes
here.
to show you how many more people are flying in and out of Traverse City because you continue to make it more and more convenient, more affordable. I mean, just think about how much money you save in gas, parking, and the lines through security instead of going to Detroit or Ford down in Grand Rapids.
It's about the convenience for the traveler, and that's what we're all about. So our annual record in 2023 was 700,699. In November, at the end of November, we had 733,000 passengers. We've already set a new annual record with only 11 months of the year done. So we'll look at the end, probably around 775. It's just awesome. So up about 11%. That's because of your listeners.
You're probably projecting into 1 million flights by the end of 2025.
I don't know about that, but it's
these other flights.
Yeah, with these listeners and these true. This is what it's all about. It's the community's airport. It's really is, and so we thank you.
Congratulations. I guess everybody knows by now that it's tvcairport.com.
You got it.
All right, thanks, Kev. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
The ever-ubulant Kevin Klein for Cherry Capital Airport. Welcome back to the studio. Rich Calkins and Jerry Coyne on the phone with Bill Morris, the author of the new bestseller, The Lions Finally Roar. Bill, how was your trip to the Writers Series?
Oh, it was the best night of my life, Jerry. It was amazing. The Opera House in Traverse City was full, almost packed. Sold a bunch of books. People had a good time. I was with Keith Gave, who you may know.
Just a little.
Writer, a great sports writer. And we were on the stage just talking like we're talking right now, and we had a blast.
Well, he knows how to interview people a little bit, so I'm sure he was a perfect companion for you to talk about the Lions and the history of the Lions leading up to now the greatest success that the franchise has had since Bobby Lane.
Yeah, and maybe they're going to duplicate it this year. I don't know. You can tell my voice is about shot. I've been talking about the book so much. But I'm having the time of my life on this trip, I'll tell you.
Why don't you give just a quick overview for our listeners? I'm sure a lot of them were unable to make it to the Opera House. Keith has been talking about your book for a few weeks here on the show, but give us the background and what readers will find.
Well, what readers will find is a history of the Lions, their history of futility, which began in 1957 with their last championship.
Yep.
And excuse me, my father worked for William Clay Ford Sr. at Ford Motor Company back in the day in the 50s and 60s, and I recorded my father's reminiscences late in his life, and a lot of those were centered around his career at Ford, but also his time as William Clay Ford Sr.'s personal executive assistant. Bill Ford called him my PR guy, kind of like my boy Friday. But they were very close, and my father was there the day that Bill Ford paid $6 million for the Detroit Lions in 1963, more money than anybody had ever paid for a sports franchise. And from there, the book is it's a story about how the team managed to fail year after year after year, and it was really about a lot of bad business decisions by the ownership, who brought in bad managers and then stuck with them too long. So I get into all that history, and then late in the book, I hit the turnaround that has happened just in the past couple of years under Bill Ford's daughter, Sheila Ford Ham. So the trajectory of the book, I started off calling it Natural Born Losers, because I thought I was going to write a story of futility when I started writing back in 2021. And as I was writing the book, of course, they turned it around 180, and I had to have a new title, and I found it in an old free press, The Lions Finally Roar.
No, that's great, Bill. Rich Calkins here. And Bill, I mean, the timing of your book coming out right now, you couldn't have planned this any better. Not only is the whole state of Michigan excited about the Lions, but fans of other cities and other teams love the Lions and what they've done with Dan Campbell and everything. So really, I wish you all the best. And to be honest, it's the only thing I want for Christmas in my Christmas stocking is your book.
I hope Santa obliges you. Yeah, it's been
No, Bill, he's hitting you up for a free copy. You don't understand. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, there's nothing wrong with being lucky. I was at the beginning of the season, I was terrified that they were going to do a same old Lions routine and lose their first 10 games, and my book was going to disappear without a trace. But they were good enough to win 11 in a row, and there's a lot of talk about the Super Bowl, as you guys know, and that's dumb luck on my part. And I'll take it any day of the week.
Bill, you cannot talk about the book now. If the Lions would manage to win a Super Bowl this season, would you write an epilogue, a follow-up to it?
Yeah, absolutely. My publisher wants me to do a sort of a coda, an extra chapter at the end if they get to the Super Bowl. That's the talk right now. They're not even if they don't win, if they just get there, if they get to their very first Super Bowl. They came within an eyelash last year. I talked to Dave Burkett of the Free Press, and he said, man, we were out in San Francisco at halftime, we're going, holy cow, we're going to the Super Bowl. And it didn't happen, of course, but they came awfully close, and there's a good chance it's going to happen this year. And I hope it does, because if it does, I got more work ahead of this year.
Yep. It's funny, because I was thinking about that. You probably read A Season on the Brink, John Feinstein's book about Bobby Knight. Mm-hmm. And the best thing about that was, he got a lot of crap from Knight after the book came out, even though Knight gave him complete access. But the next year, Indiana won the national championship. And Feinstein wrote a 4-page article in Sport magazine, which doesn't exist anymore, and it was talking about him viewing the final game and hearing Knight directing the team during all the practices and everything else, and he knew exactly what play Indiana would run at the end of the game to win it. And it was one of the, hopefully we have the experience of going to and winning the Super Bowl and having you be able to follow it all up in some tremendous prose.
Yeah, I hope so too. You mentioned a second ago that people are excited about the Lions, not just in Detroit, Michigan. I got a call the other day from Dublin, Ireland. They want me to go on a podcast over there. They said everybody's talking about Detroit, the resurgence of Detroit, and the Detroit Lions in Ireland. So this is not just a Michigan phenomenon. It's really kind of going global right now.
Well, there was Corktown.
Well, that's right. And Detroit has a big Irish
yeah, it does. Yep.
And I think that might very well be exactly what's playing into that.
Bill, were you always a Lions fan?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
When I was a boy in the 50s, we had season tickets. My dad had season tickets, and we went to every home game.
At Tiger Stadium.
Yeah, well, I was there at Briggs Stadium.
Briggs,
Tiger Stadium. That's how old I am. But, yeah, we went to games every Sunday in weather like this, and thought nothing of it. You know, we'd put on 4 sweaters and mufflers and go out there and jump up and down because it was too cold to sit down. And back in the day, like they do in Buffalo these days. But we were doing that when I was 10 years old.
Yeah, and at least at Buffalo, they didn't come out of dugouts and stuff, so that was cool.
Guys breaking their knees with their cleats on the dugout.
Yeah, but
yeah.
You talked about it, Bill, and you mentioned it. They, with this Lions team, if this coaching staff is somehow, some way able to will their way into the Super Bowl, it'll be one of the best coaching jobs ever by anybody in NFL history.
Oh, absolutely. When you consider the depletion of the ranks with these injuries, I mean, I watched the game in Detroit last weekend, and the Bills beat them, and everybody in Detroit was all depressed. I said, hey, whoa, look at, they were playing with one arm practically. They fought right to the end. They lost by 6 points, and they were playing without some of their very best players. And you know, that's a brilliant coach. This team is not going to fold just because they got some hurt guys. It's next man up with these guys, and that's the mentality Campbell's got. And I think that the players have all bought into that. So they're not going to they're not going to go in it. They're not going to fold just because guys are hurt like Lions in the years past. This is a completely different kind of team.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. You know, potentially your book has brought bad luck to this football team.
Well, the thing I think the real dicey bad luck was that cover on Sports Illustrated back at the beginning of the season. You know, there's a Sports Illustrated curse. When teams get on the cover of Sports Illustrated, they tend to go in the tank. But that hasn't happened. You know, the Lions are still very viable, and I think they're a favorite to go to the Super Bowl, certainly.
Bill, is there, having not read the book, my bad, I hate doing interviews with writers when I haven't read their material, but is there a certain chapter or certain story in the book that, you know, people have commented to you that really hits home?
Yeah, I'll tell you, early in the book, about a month after Bill Ford bought the team, he bought the team on the day John F. Kennedy was assassinated.
Yeah, right.
And a lot of people thought there was a dark cloud over the team from the get-go. But a month later, my father, who was an old newspaper reporter like me, who had spent 10 years by then working PR at Ford Motor Company, they were in New York staying together at the Plaza Hotel, and my father told me the story in great detail. I have it on tape. Bill Ford offered him the job of general manager of the Detroit Lions. And my father said, Bill, that's a very fine compliment, but I don't know anything about running a football team. And Bill Ford said, Dick, you're smart. You'll figure it out. Well, he ended up hiring Russ Thomas, which we all know how that played out.
Yeah!
40 years later, he wanted to hire Matt Millen, the great Matt Millen, as his general manager. And Matt Millen said, Mr. Ford, almost verbatim, that's a great compliment. I interviewed Millen for the book. Mr. Ford, that's a great compliment. But I'm a football player, and I've been broadcasting, but I don't know about the business of running a football team. And Bill Ford said, you're smart. You'll figure it out. So in 40 years, he had learned exactly nothing.
You know, it's funny. Have you heard this story that's come out of the New York Jets?
Yes.
That
about his Madden rating.
No, not that.
Oh.
The story's deeper than that. The story is that Woody Johnson's son,
yes,
who is a freshman at Harvard, is actually the de facto general manager of the football team.
Giving his dad input, and his dad is using his input to run that team. Well,
so there you go,
yeah,
Bill.
It's a weird form of nepotism, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
No doubt about it.
Yeah. It's just wild.
I got to ask you one question because. You know, I was a writer and had never written a book, but I interviewed Joe Schmidt. Joe Schmidt was a very close friend of my father's, and I started spending some time with Schmidt, and I was trying to formulate a book about Bobby Lane. Because Schmidt had, I don't know, did you interview Joe Schmidt for this book?
I did. I spoke to him shortly before he died. He was 92.
What a fabulous guy.
He was still sharp.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, he was sharp. And he gave me some great quotes about the hell he had to go through every Monday after a game, going through the game film with Russ Thomas and Bill Ford Sr. play-by-play and micromanaging every decision and every missed block. And Joe told me that after 4 years of that, it was like being let out of prison when I walked away from the job. So that told me a lot right there. But Joe was a great interview and a wonderful man. And he was my boyhood hero. I think he's one of the greatest Lions of them all.
There's no doubt about it. And did you happen to ever get any Bobby Lane stories from him by chance?
No, we didn't talk about Bobby Lane.
I know it doesn't fit the book profile,
yeah. The day he was traded, when they traded him to Pittsburgh, Joe was very upset about it. So was everybody else on the team.
Sure.
Alex Karras was a rookie. He was bummed out.
Yep.
And Joe, I got that stuff in the book, so I really wanted to talk to Joe about his time as the
head coach.
of the team.
Yeah, right.
So we concentrated on that, and that's where he told me that anecdote about the micromanaging the game film every Monday and how it was torture for him, and he really wound up hating the job.
Yeah.
Which is a great way to run an organization, right?
Did he have any comments about the Paper Lion and the making of the movie?
Well, no, he said it was. Yeah, actually he did. He told me that. I asked him why he was so down on it, and he said, well, these guys all thought they were going to be movie stars. They weren't paying attention to football, and I tried to get their minds back on football after the premiere in downtown Detroit in 1968. Alex Karras, the biggest of the bunch, because he did indeed have acting aspirations, which came to fruition after he retired from football. But Joe didn't want this distraction. You know, he wasn't too thrilled about it when that movie came out.
It's a great film. It still holds up.
Yeah. But again, like you said, he was a true football guy, and the last thing they want is a bunch of cameras and interviewing people and doing all that while he's trying to get this football team on the winning side of things.
Yeah, that, and also the movie came out during the season, and everybody's worrying about the premiere downtown at the Adams Theater instead of worrying about the Vikings game on Sunday. So he wasn't too fond of that. By the way, speaking of George Plimpton, the author of Paper Lion, his son Taylor, who's about my age, was at Cranbrook with him that summer when they were doing training. When George, sat in as a sort of a goofball quarterback.
Yep.
Taylor became a lifelong Lions fan. Is a dead ringer Lions fan to this day, and he read my book and gave me a really nice blurb, and that meant a lot to me because that family has deep ties to the Lions, and Taylor kind of gave my book the thumbs up, and that meant a lot to me.
Yeah, Bill, I got to let you go, but I got to tie this story. I don't know if if Schmidt told you one of his favorite Plimpton stories. So Plimpton and Schmidt became very close friends, and so. Joe Schmidt had a massive crush on Jackie Kennedy, who was very close to George Plimpton, and so he used to give. He was like, "Hey, George, can you I would love to meet Jackie Kennedy. I think she's the most amazing woman, and I've always had a crush on her, and I just think that there could be romantic sparks." And Joe's married at the time, and George and Joe can actually do an imitation with that kind of British accent that Plimpton had, and he goes, "I don't believe that Jackie would ever go out with a gentleman named Joe Schmidt." I think Trevor Huffington would be more of her style, and so that's what they ended up calling each other for the rest of their lives, was Trevor Huffington. But Bill, how do people get your book, especially if they want it for Christmas?
They got about 1,000 signed copies at Horizon Books in Traverse City.
Really?
Nice.
Okay.
And Brilliant Books in Traverse City, also McLean and Eakin up at Petoskey. Online at Amazon.com, any place where books are sold. I like people to support independent bookstores because I just love them.
Exactly.
But if you buy it online, I'm not going to complain. But you can get it anywhere. And I hope everybody gets one for Christmas because it's a great Christmas present, as you mentioned. Right?
Yeah, no. Lions fans, I was in Costco yesterday, and they have Lions champagne. They have Lions coffee. They got Lions. You can buy Lions everything now. So you might as well get a book that it tells where we've been and hopefully where we're going.
Okay. Well, listen, guys, thanks for having me. I appreciate this. It's always nice to talk to a fellow victim of Brother Rice High School.
Jerry Moynihan, I'll tell you, Bill, I'll call you back. We talked about Jerry Moynihan briefly, and I didn't tell you my Moynihan story. You're going to love it. So,
okay.
But nobody else in listening would have any clue what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's a little deep right
Yeah,
there.
that's going deep. Bill Morris, author of The Lions Finally Roar. Thanks for joining us on Up North Sports Radio's Friday Faceoff.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Okay,
Thank you.
There you go. Great guy. I had a couple of great conversations with him setting this all up, Rich. So,
no, that's very cool to talk to him, and I'm glad there was a great turnout.
You got a signed
on
copy. Just
I
go
know,
to Traverse City.
Horizon Books, baby. That's where I'm headed there.
Okay, we've got some messages from our very fine partners here on Up North Sports Radio's Friday Faceoff, brought to us by tvcairport.com.
Sports on the Michigan News Network.
The Red Wings have a chance to keep things going in the right direction with back-to-back games tonight and tomorrow. They'll host the Canadiens first downtown and then hit the road to Montreal to complete the home-and-home. They've won 3 of 4, and Patrick Kane has enjoyed the W's.
I think there's been some good energy from the crowd the last couple games and from the team too. We've been ready to play.
Detroit assigned Ville Husso to Grand Rapids yesterday, and Simon Edvinson's status for the game still up in the air after taking an elbow to the face on Wednesday night. Some final prep for the Lions with their battle in Chicago now just 2 days away. They haven't lost back-to-back games under Dan Campbell since 2022 and are adamant about staying in position for the NFC #1 seed and the division crown. And Tom Izzo says he's working to get his Spartans focused for a pre-Christmas game against Florida Atlantic tomorrow in East Lansing. Coach says he needs his 9-2 team to be focused not on Santa Claus and getting girlfriends good gifts, but about being ready to go on the court. They'll host the Owls tomorrow at 2 p.m. at the Breslin.
Cherry Capital Airport is ringing in the holiday season with new year-round service to Charlotte, getting you to your winter destination with ease. TVC is your hometown airport with 6 airlines getting you to where you want to go. Now's the time to book your winter and spring break getaway. Visit tvcairport.com today. Listen, do you hear that? That's the sound of wide open spaces at Shanty Creek Resort in Bel Air. The sound of laughter coming from the Alpine Tubing Park. The sound of splashing in the pool. The sound of shushing down Shush Mountain. Here we go outside to play. When it's time for you to enjoy the wide open spaces of northern Michigan, Shanty Creek will be there to welcome you with over 275 lodging options, 42 downhill ski and snowboard runs, and plenty of outdoor fun in Bel Air and online at shantycreek.com.
Check one. There you go. I got to call Lindsay back.
Okay.
Now. All right.
Yep. Well, we still have left here. We have 15 minutes left of the show. We're going to be getting a hold of Lindsay Southwell from Shanty Creek there. But also, we're going to have James Cook on a little bit later going over the different games from high school basketball here, some of the games that have taken place in the last few days, but also a big Friday slate here as a lot of teams play their last games before Christmas. And there's going to be all kinds of good ones. Myself and JJ Rowell will be heading to Alpena tonight to take on the Wildcats. And Wes coming off that huge win against Cadillac last Thursday night. So they've had 8 days now to prepare for Alpena. Get healed up a little bit, rested up, get in some practice time, some of the things that Coach Ballman has wanted to work on. And Alpena, they've won a couple of games this year. They're going to be tough. They've big kid in the middle, and going to be an interesting matchup tonight on Up North Sports Radio.
Sorry about that. All right, technical difficulty averted. Lindsay Southwell, time to hang out at Shanty Creek and heading into one of the best and busiest weekends of the year for Shanty Creek.
Yeah, we couldn't ask for better conditions. Winter kind of came
back
after that little warm-up.
Yeah, this weekend you've got Story Time with Santa.
Yeah, so tonight is Story Time with Santa. It's at 6:45 tonight at our Lakeview Hotel. And it's just a good time for the kiddos to have their cookies and cocoa with Santa. They can get in their last-minute gift requests, all the things, you know. And if you're thinking, I want to do something special with kids with Santa, make a staycation out of it, you know. Just come over, you know, get them in their PJs, come on over, and make it happen. That's tonight. Tomorrow morning, they can have breakfast with Santa in the Lakeview restaurant. We do our big breakfast buffet.
The Rich Calkins Memorial Breakfast Buffet. Yes, we're very aware. Thank you.
He can come and eat with Santa. He can decorate his own donuts. But, you know, like for me, I'm a big fan of the made-to-order omelet station. That's a big hit for the grown-ups.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I see that the tubing park's going to be open tomorrow as well. So, you know, that's the best way for parents and kids to hit the slopes together.
Yeah, you know, this is the earliest we've ever been able to open our tubing park. We've been blessed with some great snowmaking weather. So, you know, make a little vacation out of it. It's a fantastic weekend. It's a good time before the holiday hustle starts happening. It's going to be fun.
And then Christmas Day, ski free with Santa.
Yeah. So this is something we've been doing for quite some time.
Yeah.
You show up, you get your free lift ticket. There are no restrictions or caveats. That's happening on Christmas Day, 11 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And you just show up. That's all you got to do. So we do ask that folks bring a non-perishable item just to kind of give back to the community. As a donation, but it's not required, and so we can just spread a little bit more of that holiday cheer.
Lindsay, I know that you are booking up big time for the week between Christmas and New Year's, so you need to go to shantycreek.com now and get that lodging, whether it's a staycation or you want to bring some family in.
Yeah, so we encourage you. We have lots of options from hotel rooms to homes.
Yep.
So, you know, anything you're looking for, we probably have it. And it is booking up pretty quickly, but there's still some rooms left. And so if you're thinking about it, I wouldn't hesitate.
Lindsay Southwell, Merry Christmas, and congratulations to you guys for doing the best snow dance of the decade. All right, thanks, Lindsay. There you go, Rich.
Yeah, that's it covers all the bases, all the cool stuff here in winter. You can do it right there at Shanty Creek.
Let's take a quick break. We'll be back. We've got some Red Wings to talk about. We've got the NFL schedule to talk about, and as Rich pointed out, we've got the Fickett Sons High School Sportscape show.
Listen, do you hear that? That's the sound of wide open spaces at Shanty Creek Resort in Bel Air. The sound of laughter coming from the Alpine Tubing Park. The sound of splashing in the pool. The sound of shushing down Shush Mountain. Here we go outside to play. When it's time for you to enjoy the wide open spaces of northern Michigan, Shanty Creek will be there to welcome you with over 275 lodging options, 42 downhill ski and snowboard runs, and plenty of outdoor fun in Bel Air and online at shantycreek.com.
Hello, this is Jenny Caverson with the Camp Grayling Range Report. Each week we report the ranges, training land, and road closures to keep our community safe and informed.
This Christmas, get a gift card you can sink your teeth into. In Gaylord, enjoy a juicy burger at Alpine Tavern or the best Neapolitan pizza at Crave. Two outstanding restaurants. And now, buy a $50 gift card from Alpine or Crave and get a free $10 gift card for yourself. Great food is always a valued gift. Gift cards that give you a little extra at Alpine Tavern and Crave in Gaylord. It's where you go for Up North flavor.
Join the Traverse City Record Eagles 11th Annual TC Trim Down. It's a great way to get healthier, and you could win a share of $1,800 in valuable gift certificates. Male, female, and co-ed teams of 2 or 4 can register now through January 7th for just $10 a person, a portion of which goes back to local food pantries. Achieve a healthier you over the 10-week virtual competition and benefit for a lifetime. Register now through January 7th at tctrimdown.com.
Welcome back to Friday Faceoff on Up North Sports Radio, brought to us by TVCAirport.com. Rich, as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, we've got some pro football tomorrow interspersed with the college playoff games. We've got the Texans are giving 2.5 to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I don't get that, especially since Kansas City is at home. I think that line, actually the line is flipped. That was the early line, and they thought Mahomes wasn't playing.
Yeah, because right now the one on CBS Sports right now has KC -3.5.
Yeah.
But like you said, when news came out that Patrick Mahomes is probably going to play, then you're absolutely right. It flipped completely over.
And I don't understand why the Steelers are 6.5-point underdogs.
And that's the same. That has stayed consistent.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I don't get it either. They have pretty much owned.
It doesn't
Ravens.
even matter. Even when they have it, this game is traditionally a field goal game.
Yes.
So the Lions are. I think it's gone down to 6.5, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. I think the Lions will play very strong, and I think the Bears are mailing it in.
Oh, you see the body language of Caleb Williams on the sideline when he took some big-time shots.
I thought they would show up against the Vikings.
I did too. I really thought that would be a real competitive game, and the Vikings just literally beat them up.
What has the spread gone to on the Atlanta game? Because I have it at 10.5. I think it's is it now 13?
It's 8.
It's down to 8.
Yes, 8. Let me see in the hook. Yeah, 8,
I think the Falcons are going to play fantastic football with
Penix.
Yeah. I really do. I was always impressed with him, and I was one of the few guys that didn't argue with the fact that they took him.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And we know the Giants are battling for that first overall pick.
The Bills are 2 touchdown favorites against the Patriots, and I don't think it's enough. So.
Yeah, I know. No, exactly.
This game is kind of surprising, I don't know what to make of it. Arizona is falling apart at the seams.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, they were the surprise team, and now they're surprisingly bad.
Yeah, they were playing so well, and people were talking about playoffs and things like that, and now they're playing Carolina. And
what's the spread now?
4.5.
Yeah, I like Carolina getting the 4.5.
Yeah.
I think Arizona will win, but by the skin of their teeth.
A home dog, and Carolina overall is playing much better.
The Colts and the Titans, the Titans are underdogs in this particular game. Trubisky Mason Rudolph is going to play.
Yes.
And they looked a lot better with Rudolph. I like them as underdogs in this game.
In Indiana, just some of the boneheaded moves that they played last week. Whatchamacallit, the running back from Wisconsin, who was a great guy, great running back, all of that, and he did drop the football before crossing the goal line.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor. I mean,
It's
idiotic.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. This game, like a lot of the Rams are traveling to New York. They played a lot of tough games. The Jets suck, but I think this story about the kid is really going to blow up this locker room. Like, this kid is running the football team. Well,
exactly.
I think the Rams are going to cover the 3.5. I really do.
I mean, in the worst way, they want Woody Johnson to be assigned over to Ireland again as the.
It's not happening.
I know. I don't think so either.
They're just going to change the wording to the plane that's flying over the stadium.
Yes.
Sell the team or else. Surrender Dorothy.
Oh my!
I don't know why people think the Washington has a chance against the Eagles. I don't see any letdown here. I think the Eagles are going to hammer them.
I know.
Are they going to stop Saquon Barkley? He could run for 200 yards on Sunday.
I know. Yeah, exactly.
And the Bengals and the Browns are the battle for Ohio. I know the Dorian Thompson-Robinson is going to play.
Get that start, yeah.
Yeah.
Jameis
and
just
the Bengals have to
turnovers.
win and everything else, but more than a touchdown, I think, is too much.
Yeah, right now it's at 9. Cincy, yes.
Really? I'll have to rethink that. The Vikings are heading out to Seattle. Looks like Gino's going to play.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, he came out and said that.
Vikings look awfully good, though, man.
Oh man, they're playing well.
Playing well. Yeah. The Raider. This is the worst football game in the history of NFL. The Raiders, I don't know who's playing quarterback. They could bring Tom Brady, let him play in a suit, and he would be better than anybody that they have on the roster. In Jacksonville with Mac Davis, Mac Davis.
Mac Davis, might sing a tune. It'll be entertaining in the huddle, at least.
Yeah.
No, and actually, how many times has the Raiders been favorites this year? They're 1.5 right
but
now.
Crosby's out for the year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, their best player by far.
And this other game, like Miami is playing the Niners.
Yeah.
I don't know what's got to happen here. Both of these, the Niners, they both have an outside chance of making the playoffs. Really, the Niners have none. I like Miami here at home.
Yeah, right now they're a 1-point favorite as it stands.
And I don't know why Tampa's only given 4.5 to Dallas.
Tampa's playing well.
They're scary.
They are scary.
Yeah,
very scary.
So I'm going to take them giving 4.5. Packers and the Saints. Kamara's out. This is, and it's in Green Bay on Monday night.
Yeah. It's up to 14. I don't know what it was when it first came, but it's at 14. Minus 14 Green Bay.
Yeah. There you go. That's the NFL schedule. Red Wings showed a little sign of life, beating the Flyers in overtime, a game they really had to have.
Oh, they really did. Yeah, and it was kind of a crazy game. Back and
forth. It was fun to watch.
It was, yeah. I mean, the Wings came out, looked like they had a commanding lead at one point. The Flyers come roaring back, and then they were able to seal the deal in the third period. Finally, the Wings were, but no, you could tell that game meant a lot to them. They were obviously super jubilant about the win because they needed it in the worst way.
Yeah, they got their traditional home and home.
Yeah.
Tonight, the Canadians visit the Red Wings at Little Caesars Arena. That game's at 7 o'clock. You can hear it right here on Up North Sports Radio, 101.1. And then they return the favor and head to Montreal. This is I've told you this story a few times. Back in the day, the Montreal and the Red Wings in the 50s were the cream of the crop, and they hated each other.
For sure.
So they would be on the same train because they would do this. They would play in Montreal and then take the train back to Detroit and vice versa. And they used to have to stop the train and let the Red Wings get out of the car and walk around the Canadians' car to get to the dining club because too many fights would break out.
When they walked through the car. It's like, we got to keep these guys completely separated.
Yeah, and they would, and this was Canadian Railway. So they always let the Wings eat first because they thought the Canadians would, poison the food. I mean,
oh my gosh!
It's just you can't make this crap up.
No, you cannot. You cannot for sure. No, that's no. Some of those stories that come out as to what took place years ago are just.
All right, we got to take a quick break, and we're going to get James Cook on the horn for the Fick & Sons High School Sportscape Show here on Up North Sports Radio.
Players make careers who believe they're Hall of Famers.
He's nice.
I promise. We're nice here.
He's humble.
I think I'm usually pretty good here on the show about admitting when I got it wrong.
Live from Los Angeles, here's Bill Ryder.
All right. Whoa. That was...
All right. Rich Calkins.
All right. Yeah, we'll be getting a hold of James Cook here in just a moment for the Fick & Sons Sportscape Show. Give about a 15-minute look on high school sports around north central Michigan here.
You've got a game tonight.
I do, yes. JJ Rao and I are going to be traveling up to Alpena tonight. A little bit of a nor'easter taking place up in Alpena today, but we will manage. Thank you to Williams Chevrolet out of Traverse City. They give us a beautiful vehicle to drive each away
game.
They
have four-wheel drive.
Yes, yeah, they're incredible.
It basically drives itself.
It does. No kidding.
Thank God, because JJ can't drive. Hold on, James. There you go. It is time for the Fick & Sons High School Sportscape Show here on Up North Sports Radio. Fick & Son proudly supports all local high school athletes. Check out all they have to provide at fickandsons.com. James, we know where JJ and Rich are headed, but where are you going to be tonight? James Cook, are you there?
I am.
Yeah. Well, we know where JJ and Rich are headed. What game are you covering tonight?
I'm going to be covering 2 games tonight. I'm going to be going over to the Elk Rapids holiday tournament that they're hosting. The first round is tonight. St. Francis against Jackson at 5:30. And
Jackson.
Kingsford against Elk Rapids at 7 o'clock.
All right, there you go.
Yeah, like you said, Jackson High, not Jackson Lumen Christi, right, James?
Yeah, regular old Jackson High.
Yeah.
So they were pretty solid last year. I think 13 and 10. Kingsford is the one. Elk Rapids gave themselves the hard game in the first round. Kingsford was, I think, 21 and 5 and made it to the state quarterfinals last year.
Yeah, wow, that's the real interesting matchup there for sure. And so what, back-to-back weekends was it, James? They had the girls tournament there in Elk Rapids last weekend, and now the boys this weekend. Is that what it is?
Yep, that's what they're doing there. And then I think Central Lake is hosting a kind of a post-Christmas tournament too.
Okay.
Boys and girls. I was looking at the schedules, and it's a little different than normal. They're both 2-day scheduled tournaments with 4 teams and everything. The first round of the girls games are the 26th. The first round of the boys is the 27th, and then the finals and consolation finals are all on the 28th. Okay. So a little different format there in Central Lake. They put all the championship games on the same day, I think. So.
Yeah, for sure. Looking at some of that Northwest Conference action, you've got Glen Lake traveling to Frankfort, and then Benzie Central at Buckley.
Yeah, Glen Lake Frankfort's always a good basketball game. Glen Lake has been. I mean, they were pretty great last year. Yeah. And Frankfort is coming on this season as well. I mean, you had Carter Kirby exploded for 46 points on Monday.
Oh, jeez.
What? Against Buckley.
Yeah.
46.
Yeah, 46 school record.
I'll bet.
The old school record was 44, set in the late 2000s by Wade Luxford, who was a pretty good player there at Frankfort. Obviously, wanted to play some college ball, I think, at Kirkland Community College. 43 points against Buckley. That's a pretty good game. And then earlier in that day, they played actually kind of a triple header because they rescheduled the girls game from before, and the Buckley girls beat Frankfort girls for the first time in around 2 decades.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's I gotta talk to Tim Resnich, head coach of Frankfort there, my cousin through marriage, and see, hey, what's going on? Those guys had that great run last year, and they lost their big post person in the middle from last year, but they had some other players coming back, so we'll have to see how it's going on.
Yeah, they lost Evelyn in the middle, and she obviously was a very big presence on that team. And they also lost Harris, that guard.
Yes.
The 3-point shooting in the outside. Those two were both pretty big losses. I mean, they have.
Evelyn did she go? Is she playing D1? I thought she had a couple of bigger schools looking at her.
I'm not sure. James, do you know?
At who?
The tall post player for Frankfurt last year.
Van Tol?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what school she went to. Last I knew, she was looking at some like D3, D2 offers.
Oh, was she? I thought there was a couple of D1 schools interested in her. I'm sorry.
It could be. I don't. I'm not sure where the recruiting went for her. But
she was you saw her play.
I did, yeah, in that regional final there against Gaylord St. Mary's, and she just dominated because St. Mary's just didn't have anyone that could match up with her.
Yeah, but she can handle it, and she had good floor moves. The whole package.
Yeah, she was a difficult matchup for pretty much anybody.
Yeah.
I didn't see a team last year that really had a direct answer for her.
Right. yeah, no doubt. Also in boys action, Pelston at Gaylord St. Mary's. I don't know much about is it Pelston that's got a good team this year, James?
Let me look here. I know Gaylord St. Mary is pretty deep, or has struggled a little bit out of the gate. I think they're 1-2. Okay. But they won the other night, so they kind of got out the schneid a little bit. Pelston's 2-3.
Okay.
The Ski Valley Conference is pretty balanced this year. You've got Bel Air is actually kind of sprinted out in front of everybody and front-loaded their schedule with league games. They're 5-0 in the conference already.
Yeah.
And then Mancelona's 3-0, Onaway's 2-0, and everybody else has a couple of losses. St. Mary's 1-1 in the league, but so it'd be interesting. I think that I don't know that they had Daniel Jacobson right at the very beginning of the season because he had that broken collarbone from the football season.
Okay.
So, but I know he's back now.
Okay. Yeah, Big North action, of course, West coming off that huge win against Cadillac last Thursday night. Haven't played since, go up against Alpena. But an intriguing matchup is Cadillac's got to go up and play Petoskey tonight. And last time I looked earlier in the week, Petoskey was undefeated.
Yeah, they're still undefeated.
Okay.
Petoskey's 5-0, Cadillac's 4-1. Their only loss is that one to the TC West. So I think this is a pretty big early season game in the Big North Conference standings.
Yeah, for sure. When, there's only, 6 teams in the Big North, and so you play 5 opponents. So 10 games are in conference play, and then you got to play more non-conference games than conference games. So, yeah, this is a huge one before Christmas for sure.
Mm-hmm. And it's going to be 7 teams next year.
Oh,
yeah. Sault Ste. Marie is joining the league in all sports.
Really?
It's
next school year.
Okay. No, that's good. Good to hear. That's the first time I'd heard that. So, let me see some of the other Gladwin at Houghton Lake, McBain at Kingsley. I see that McBain lost earlier in the week.
Yeah, they lost quite a bit from that team that made the run to the semifinals last year.
Okay.
They still have Rodenbaugh at point guard, who's another matchup difficulty because he's such a tall point guard.
Right.
He can just look over the defense, and and then they have Clayton Hooker as well down low, who he was a big factor last season and should just get better and better and better.
Yeah, the Rodenbaugh.
But a lot of changes.
Yeah, Rodenbaugh did he have an older brother also that played?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Ben played a couple years ago on that team. I think that made it to the quarters.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Or regional finals. Yeah, and he was a pretty good team, but yeah. But the younger one is really, really, really good. I mean, just a tall point guard who creates problems and is just hard for players to defend. I think he'll be a lot more aggressive now with guys like Evan Haberkamp gone. They're going to need him to kind of take up a little bit more of the scoring mantle. Yeah,
those tall, lanky point guards, when those guys are those. I've always liked those guys to run an offense, but also defensively, they're tough matchup.
Yeah, and McBain's 4-1 so far this season, so they've been doing pretty well. They're 1 losses in the league. I'm trying to remember who that was against, but so they're kind of chasing Pine River and Beale City are out front right now.
Okay.
In the league.
I see Traverse City Central. They're playing pretty solid basketball. They host Bay City Central tonight.
Yeah. TC Central's got the new coach in Luke Johnson, and seems to be a good fit so far for Central. I mean, they've been doing some pretty good things. Owen Rival's been doing a lot of things like his older brother.
Yes. Yeah, Luke.
He might be better.
He might. It continues to develop it, and Luke Johnson's a really good coach. I've always liked Luke.
Yeah, and they've given themselves a pretty tough schedule too. There's no easy games in this beginning of the season before they start the Big North Conference play. I mean, Midland, Saginaw Heritage, Marquette, Rockford, Reese Puffer, Bay City Central, Forest Hills Northern.
Yeah.
That's their December and into January is all pretty good Division I schools.
I want to take a moment to thank Fick & Sons. They're your local competitive and reliable propane provider, but so much more than just propane. They provide home heating fuel for residential and commercial customers. They own all of Charlie's Country Corners at 4 Mile Road and I-75. They have the Arby's, a huge convenience store, a Super 8 by Wyndham, and a full-service diesel garage in Roscommon. They have the Sunny Spot Fuel and Convenience Store. Bear Lakes in Kalkaska has a Marathon Gas. They have great pizza and a full liquor department. In Whittemore is the Crossroads Citgo, offering gas, diesel, racing fuels, snacks, drinks, and an excellent deli.
They offer propane cylinder refills at all of their locations. Visit fickandsons.com. They are expanding their services throughout northern Michigan. As far as we're not going to be here next week, James, are any teams, I know you're going to this holiday tournament here. You know of any games going on after Christmas? You used to see those pop up every once in a while.
Yeah, you've got that Central Lake tournament. They're hosting boys and girls ones right after Christmas. I believe there's a hockey tournament over at Center Ice. It's usually between Christmas and New Year's. And then Traverse City West usually has a wrestling tournament right after Christmas as well. So there's things that people can go to if they're itching for high school sports during Christmas break.
Well, I'm talking mainly about you.
Well, I may be going to some of those things.
Yeah, but James, these wrestlers, their season goes, through Thanksgiving and Christmas, and of course they're always trying to cut weight, and so that's what the discipline that they show as high school kids to not, just dive in and just pig out and things during the holidays. It shows you again how dedicated they are.
It's not that hard. They're high school metabolisms. My
well,
God.
that helps. Yeah, but again, those kids, for the most part, man, you don't see them at the buffet table. That's for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, Christmas was always a tough time when I was in high school wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I didn't know you were a high school wrestler. That's something we just learned today.
Oh yeah, that was my sport. That was what I was best at, but not what I started out as.
Okay. Tell us more, James.
Oh, well, I got cut from the baseball team twice.
Twice?
Okay. Good for you going back there, James.
I'll show him.
Hey, James, were you able to take in the Lions finally roar at the Traverse City Opera House on Wednesday?
Yeah, I was. I was kind of guessing that Keith would have probably talked about that earlier today.
No, Keith's not on every week now.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah. We actually had Bill Morris on today.
Okay. Yeah. It was an interesting event. I mean, there was a few things that he said that I'm like, I had no idea. Like that the Fords bought the Lions on the same day as the JFK assassination.
Yeah.
It really didn't make the news, even though it was at the time the most expensive professional sports
purchase.
In history.
Yeah. No, so
I heard there was a great crowd.
Yeah, it was pretty packed, and there was at least one Jared Goff chant.
Oh, I love it.
So a lot of people were in their Lions gear?
Oh, yeah. There was a lot of people.
Wow.
A lot of people in jerseys, a lot of people, hats and everything. And,
I love it.
Yeah.
Did you get a book?
I did.
Wow. Good for you.
Yeah.
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 Haven't read it yet, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm good for you. I kind of figured you were the talking book kind of guy.
That's hey, but James, you picked up probably some good material for your podcast, Not the Same Old Lions.
Yeah, for sure. We actually had Bill on last week.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. The appearance, yeah. So.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah, it seems like it. I mean, the stories, some of the stories, he's got a little different perspective and a pretty good angle, in that his dad was a higher up with the Ford Motor Company back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he saw a lot of that inner working early on when the Fords bought the Lions.
Yeah, I asked him if his dad was represented in Ford versus Ferrari, and he said he wasn't that high up.
Oh, okay.
Did he tell you the story about his dad being offered the GM job?
Yeah.
Yes.
He did. He said that one today.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
That was a good one.
Yes.
He told me essentially that the reason why his dad was so close to Bill Ford is that they were drinking buddies, and then Bill actually quit because it was really, there was always stories about Russ Thomas may had taken some bullets for him on a DUI. A long story, and I asked Bill about that. He goes, since there's no real documentation, I didn't want to float that idea out in the book.
Sure.
But after Bill stopped drinking,
his father and him didn't really have a relationship anymore, and that's when, and his father left the company and went to work for the Carrier air conditioning company.
Oh, is that? Oh, I didn't know that.
And
Yeah.
they moved to Syracuse, New York.
Right. Okay.
That's why he didn't graduate from Brother Rice. He spent his first 3 years at Brother Rice, and they went to Syracuse for his senior year. So
yeah.
So
the histories angle were pretty interesting. It didn't cover a whole lot of the current team and everything like that, but during the Q&A part, there were a couple of questions. People asked him, like, do you think the Lions are going to the Super Bowl? And he was like, whoa. But then he said, yes, he thinks that they're going to go.
That would be an opinion.
Yeah,
not,
right,
not
at this
a
point.
fact. Yeah, we asked him the question if he was going to write an epilogue if they do go to the Super Bowl, and he said, yes, the publisher wants him to do that. So hopefully he gets that opportunity.
Yeah, and I would hope that he would get some, he tried to talk to some of the other higher-ups in the Lions organization and didn't get any interviews with, like, Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes and Sheila Hamp.
Really?
For the book.
So, yeah.
So maybe if they do the epilogue, maybe they'd be a little more receptive to doing those kind of things.
I think Spielman would be a great one to talk to.
Well, his writing career is a little different, and we can't. I don't want to go off on a tangent because he'd never written a sports book before.
Oh, okay.
Most of his
he was a hard news newspaper reporter.
Yeah, okay. Exactly, and not in sports.
Okay.
So his best-selling book to this point is about the riots in '67. So, James, we want.
The IRS, the world's most aggressive collection agency. They can seize your property, bank account, and garnish your wages. They cause sleepless nights for millions of Americans. Don't be one of them. If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS or state, get protected today. Call 800-312-9970. Coast One Tax Group, protecting your bank, home, and your sleep since 2008. With hundreds of 5-star reviews and an A+ on the Better Business Bureau. Call Coast One Tax Group, 800-312-9970. Stanley from New York owed $93,000. The IRS placed a levy on his bank account. Coast One released the levy and settled with the IRS for $2,000. Mark in Michigan owed $225,000. After Coast One stepped in, Mark walked away paying less than $1,500. Call Coast One now. A 10-minute call can save you up to 93% on your back taxes. Get your fresh start today. That's 800-312-9970.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-785-9132. That's 800-785-9132. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-785-9132.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? There is a tremendous price war in the term life industry. Rates have dropped dramatically in the past few years. For example,